Hello, it's Erica with blacksandperiodfilms.com, and I am here for day 2 of our Black History Month series, Write It, for 2019. I am very excited to talk about the book Josephine and the Soldier by the legendary Beverly Jenkins. If you love historical fiction, romance, you know who Beverly Jenkins. Even if you know who she is. Even if you don't read those type of books, you probably most likely should still know who Beverly Jenkins is. She has more than 40 books to her name, and she writes amazing romance novels about African Americans in the 19th century. And as always, the book Josephine and the Soldier did not disappoint. I'm just going to read the summary about Josephine and the Soldier and then get into my thoughts about the book. Josephine, or JoJo Best, has it all figured out. Just 17, she's been to college, she has her own hairdressing shop, and nothing will distract her from her goals. That is, until handsome George Brooks begins to pursue her. Then, the return of her childhood nemesis complicates her life even further. No girl is immune to Adam Morgan's charm, but when a wound brings him home from the war between the states, it's a girl he used to call Pest who's turning the tables. All grown up, JoJo is being courted by another soldier, and Adam knows it would be foolish to play with her heart, but he just can't get the ugly duckling turned swan off his mind. JoJo, too, can't deny her growing feelings for Adam, but he's always been such a flirt. How can she take him seriously? He can't possibly be serious about her. Besides, she has George falling all over himself to please her. As the war rages on, Adam's feelings for JoJo grow stronger, but JoJo's determination to resist him does too. One thing is clear, though. JoJo is a girl who always gets what she wants, even when she doesn't know what it is. This book is a period romance in all of its glory. We get everything. It was just such a treat to read it. It was really a big treat because Black characters in period films and novels don't often get the happily ever after treatment, but we get that in this book. There's tension, and there are up and downs, and there are mishaps, but we never feel like something extremely tragic is about to happen. As I read Josephine and the Soldier, I found myself smiling. The two main characters, Josephine and Adam, were absolutely adorable, and their back and forth dialogue was funny to read, and they really reminded me of those people you know in real life who have known each other since they were children, and they always kind of had crushes on each other, but they were not self-aware enough to mention it, to bring it up to each other, and that's what their dialogue made me think of. And all of the side characters were equally enjoyable. I can't stress enough how awesome it is as a Black period film fan to get a book that is without the usual tragic ending. I've talked about this on the blog before. It's just something you come to expect. You get to a certain point in the book, and then things start going left. You get to a certain point in the movie, and then everything from there on is down. It was just a very enjoyable reading. Everything within the story also came off as realistic to the time and fully developed. I felt as if I joined a world that was already in motion. It wasn't just set aside as a story. It felt like a real world. All of the characters have their own motivations, and that led to a book full of characters that felt like people you know or have known at some point in your life. Fan casting was fairly easy for me. The way she described the characters, certain actors came to my mind as I was reading it. The main characters were described in detail, and as I read the book, I kind of just jotted down whenever defining physical features were brought up. And so I have a list of actors I imagined as some of the core characters to the story. There were many different characters. Some got descriptions, some did not. But the ones that did, and that were main characters or important side characters, I wrote down their descriptions. So, for the main character of the beautiful Josephine, and Josephine Best is described as being a beautiful ebony young woman with dark eyes, dark skin, and long dark hair that's thick enough for two heads. And I thought of Camille Winbush, Vanessa from Bernie Mac. She is a very beautiful actress with very beautiful dark skin, and I believe that she just has the look of Josephine. She has a sweetness to her, but she also has a sort of edge that makes you know that she could be a successful businesswoman in the 19th century. For the character of Adam Morgan, the man who was described as being a golden boy, golden skin, golden eyes, I thought of Kendrick Sampson. He's most known for his roles in Insecure, How to Get Away with Murder, and The Flash. He fits the character to a T. He has that Casanova kind of quality about him, and he fits the description of golden skin and golden eyes. I imagine Robin Lee as Josephine's mother Cecile. She has brown skin and dark eyes, and she kind of has a different look to Josephine. Josephine says that she has her mother's eyes, but almost everything else about her is kind of like her father. As I was reading, I imagined Asha Bromfield as Josephine's beautiful sister-in-law. Asha Bromfield is most known to me from Riverdale, and she's a very beautiful actress. And interestingly enough, Josephine's sister-in-law, Belle, has a book of her own by Beverly Jenkins, which you can read, and I highly suggest you read it. I envision Keith Powers from Straight Outta Compton and the New Edition story from BET as the handsome brown-eyed George Brooks. Saraya McNeil, Empire's Tiana as Josephine's silly, trouble-seeking best friend. Algee Smith from the New Edition story miniseries. And Kathryn Bigelow's film Detroit. Burt Waterman. He at first started off kind of as a pushover, but towards the end he gets his gumption about himself and he changes the course of his life. And Algee Smith has that look. And then finally, I want to cast Luke James as Dred Reed, who is described as extremely handsome with dark velvet brown skin. These are all of the people that came to mind as I was reading through the book. What do you think about these fan casting choices? And based on the descriptions that I gave of the characters, who would you suggest? I cannot talk about this book enough, so I'm going to cut it off here. It was just a very enjoyable read, and I'd say I put it up there in the top of what I want when I read historical fiction romance. Historically accurate, it included facts from the time that let you know that Jenkins, of course, Beverly Jenkins did her research. The costumes were described and they were period accurate. The characters were amazing. It just was an amazing read, and I highly suggest you read it. It would make for an amazing film. Someone should write it.